Why is Molly making so much noise?
What is she doing?
Why is she not studying with us? Let's ask her why she is not studying and making so much noise. Molly, why are you making so much noise? Please stop it. You are disturbing all of us.
I am not making noise. I am making a new thing.
What new thing?
I don't know, but something new that has never been made before.
But you have not yet completed your homework. So you should stop everything and complete your homework first.
No, I want to make something new. I want to invent something.
I think we should call Vayu and Maya. They can only make her understand that she should study.
Vayu,
Maya,
please come.
Vayu,
Maya,
please come.
Please come.
Hello, kids.
Hello, Vayu. Hello, Maya.
What are you doing today?
Molly is making so much noise and disturbing all of us that we are not able to study.
What are you doing, Molly? Why are you not studying, dear?
I am making a new thing. My teacher told yesterday in the class that the person who makes new things in the world becomes famous, and I want to be famous.
Hey, that's really interesting.
And your teacher is right. When a man gives a new thing to the world that helps mankind, he or she becomes popular.
But can anyone make new things?
Yes, but most of the inventions have been done by great scientists.
Scientist?
Yes, scientist. Do you know, kids, each and everything that we are using in our daily life has either been invented or discovered.
I also want to be a scientist.
But to become a scientist, you have to be qualified and study very hard because they all were qualified and intelligent. Kids, do you want to know about the scientists and their creations?
Yes, we want to know about them and their creations.
First of all, you all should know the difference between invention and discovery. When someone has an idea for something new and makes it work, it is called an invention. Sometimes many people work on an idea together, and many a times it so happens that one person invents something and the other person improves on it. When someone searches or finds out something new that is already there in this world and makes it work, it is called a discovery.
Children, sometimes an invention is so important that it changes forever the way people do their work. There are many things around us that have made such a difference. Let's look at them one by one. Come on, name few things that we use daily.
Bicycle, car,
Camera.
Telephone,
aeroplane.
radio, TV.
Okay. So you see, children, the list will be endless. Let us start with the bicycle and see what the bicycles looked like before it got today's modern look. The first bicycles were made way back in the year 1818. It has been more than 150 years now. Do you know, kids, when the first bicycle was made, it had wooden wheels and it was without pedals, so the rider had to push the bicycle with their feet on the ground. It was very difficult to ride this bicycle. Then one Mr. Macmillan from Scotland got an idea for improving the bicycle. He first thought of adding pedals to the bicycle, and his new bicycle was called Hobby Horse. Look, children, this is how the Hobby Horse looked like. Then a father and son team from France made another change. In this new form, the front wheel of the bicycle was larger than the back. The wheels were made of wood and had iron rims around them. On the front wheel, they attached the pedals. So this is how the bicycle looked. But this bicycle also could not run fast, so another change was inevitable. This time, the front wheel was much larger than the back wheel. This improved the speed of the bicycle, and this is how the bicycle looked with its very large front wheel. So children, with the passage of time, many more changes were made in the bicycle, and finally, about 100 years ago, bicycles began to look more modern. They were called safety bicycles. They had wheels of equal size, rubber tires, and a chain connecting the pedals to the back wheel. And today, children, we find bicycles for racing, bicycles for mountain biking, and bicycles for daily use. Today, young and old, everyone can enjoy riding a bicycle.
Now, children, let us see who invented the electric light bulb. The same electric light bulbs that we have in our house and that glows when we put on the switch. Children, look at the bulb carefully. Can you see the thin coil in the center? This is what we call the filament. It is this filament that glows when we put on the light. Today, when we switch on a bulb, it keeps glowing till we don't switch it off. But before the electric bulb was invented, many people tried to make a light bulb glow. But no one could come up with a filament that glowed for more than a few seconds. There was this brilliant scientist in United States of America who was also working on the electric bulb. He also tried various different materials for the filament, and finally, in year 1870, he discovered that a carbon filament lasted longest. He used it in his bulb and the bulb glowed for more than 13 hours. Finally, the electric bulb was invented, and this intelligent scientist who invented the electric light bulb was Thomas Edison. Children, you will be surprised to know that Edison carried out experiments on 6,000 different materials to find a filament that would glow for a long time. So you see, children, there is a lesson to be learned from this. And the lesson is that if we believe in something, we should keep trying till we succeed. Children, Edison not only invented the electric light bulb, he went on to invent lots more things in his life.
Children, look at this. This is what we call a telephone. Today, using the telephone, we can talk to relatives and friends around the world. But do you know, children, who invented the telephone?
No!
Telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell. Now let's see how the telephone works. Children, the sound of the human voice reaches our ears because of vibration it sets up in the air. Alexander Graham Bell thought about it, and then he tried to convert these vibrations into electric signals so that these electric signals could be sent over great distances. He tried out many experiments, but he got success only in the year 1876. In this successful experiment, Bell called out to his assistant who was in the next room, "Come here, Watson, I want you." The assistant could hear the voice of Bell, and thus the first telephone was invented. But children, it was not the one that we use today. The modern version was improved upon by Thomas Edison, the same scientist who gave us electric light bulb. In Bell's phone, the same part was used for speaking and listening. Edison separated and made them into two. The one that we attach to our ears is called the earpiece, and the one into which we talk is known as the mouthpiece. Today, both the earpiece and mouthpiece are connected together, and we call it the receiver. Edison made few more changes and improved upon the sound of the speaker's voice so that it could be heard more clearly and distinctly by the listener. Children, we all love to play with jigsaw puzzle, don't we?
Yes! I can solve many jigsaw puzzles.
That is really very good. Solving jigsaw puzzle makes our mind sharp. It's like an exercise for the brain.
It is also interesting.
And fun to solve.
That's right. That is why people of all age groups love the jigsaw puzzle.
The person who must have invented the jigsaw puzzle must be really intelligent.
Gobby, they were not only intelligent enough to see the opportunity, but also they loved what they did. The person who invented the jigsaw puzzle was not a scientist. He was a young man who made and printed maps in England. You see, children, lots of people must have seen maps, but nobody caught the idea to invent a jigsaw puzzle using the map. But the brilliant idea struck this young man and he made a game out of teaching geography. Let us see how he did it. We will use the map of our country. Children, look, this is the map of our country. See, it is divided into many states. Now suppose we cut out all the states one by one and remove it from the map of India. Now if I tell you to arrange all the cut out states so that we get the original form, then this becomes an interesting puzzle and a jigsaw. This is what this young man did using the world map. By solving this puzzle, children learned about different countries of the world. This intelligent young man's name was John Spilsbury. It was in the year 1760 that he invented the jigsaw puzzle. This idea of his led to puzzles on different subjects. Let us now look at the various puzzles that are still popular today. Look at this sliding block puzzle. See, it is in the shape of a square and has numbers written on it. When the sliding block puzzle is scrambled, the player has to arrange the numbers in sequence by moving through the empty space. Another interesting puzzle is the Rubik's Cube. Look, this is how the Rubik's Cube looks. This was invented in the year 1970. People spend a long time trying to match up the colors on the cube's 6 sides.
Children, there are so many things around us that we take for granted, but it took the intelligence of human being to invent them. Like the simple thing that we use to write, that is a pencil. Children, let us see how the pencil was invented. In the year 1564, soft stone called graphite was discovered. This graphite could be used to write and draw on paper, but it was difficult to use it without a holder because it broke easily and made the writer's hands dirty. From then on, various devices were tried. The graphite was placed between 2 pieces of wood, and the 2 pieces of wood were tied tightly together. Now, the graphite could be held more easily. Children, graphite alone is very soft and breaks easily. So, to make it hard, sulfur was added. But this mixture started melting when the surrounding got warm. After lots of experimenting, finally, clay was added to the graphite to make it stronger. Children, you must have noticed that some pencils write very thin while others write broadly. This is because various degrees of hardness are used for the lead pencils. The hardness ranges from 10H to 8B. H is used for harder grades and B is used for softer ones.
Children, before the invention of the pen, people used to write using their fingers and with a bird's feather.
Father?
Not father, feather. This is a feather. These were dipped in the inks and then were used for writing. After that came the fountain pens and then the ballpoint pens. Children, it is said that necessity is the mother of all inventions. When human beings start facing a problem, we either discover or invent something to solve our problems. The invention of zip was one such case. One thing that used to bother the people was the tying of shoes with shoelaces. Till the year 1893, people used to fasten their clothes and shoes with buttons and laces. one Mr. Judson of the United States of America thought he could come up with something better. He invented a gadget called a clasp locker. It was made of tiny hooks and eyes. But this zip was not able to hold properly. Then, an engineer from Sweden improved upon this invention and made the first zip with gripping metal teeth. Children, the early zips often broke or did not work properly. But after the use of metal teeth, their use spread rapidly throughout the world.
But why do we call it a zip?
When we open and close a zip, it makes a zip zip noise. So children, the name is said to have come from the zip zip noise these zips make when we open and close them.
Well, we all human beings love to store our happy memories for a long, long time. And how do we do it? We click photographs of our happy memories. And what do we use to click those beautiful photographs?
Camera!
Correct. Children, by using today's modern camera, we can click photographs in few seconds. In fact, in a fraction of a second too. Even you children can use the camera to click photographs. The modern camera has become so simple to use. But earlier, clicking photographs was not so simple. The first cameras took almost 30 minutes to take a photo. So the photographs were taken of landscapes and still or motionless objects because no person could stand still for such a long time to have their pictures taken.
Children, the first cameras were just like tracing tools. It looked something like this. The image of the object kept in front of the camera was projected through the lens onto a mirror. This mirror then reflected and cast the image onto a screen on top. The artist then drew the projected image. So children, a box that projected images onto a wall was called a camera in the 16th century. At that time, films didn't exist to take the pictures. About 300 years later, two Frenchmen took pictures using metal plates. And finally, in the year 1888, George Eastman invented a way to take pictures with the box camera and film.
And today, man has invented all sorts of camera for taking still photographs and moving pictures. Children, all your favorite TV programs and films that we see are also shot on special cameras.
Children, every day we see lots of aeroplanes flying in the sky. Today's aeroplanes are complicated man-made flying machines. It will be very interesting to see what kind of machine was the first aeroplane. Children, long before the first aeroplane was made, man tried various ways to fly like a bird. Some people even made wings like birds and tied them to their body and jumped from high-rise mountains, but they were not successful in flying. After experimenting with lots of ideas, finally, the first aeroplane was built by the Wright brothers of United States. This was the model in which actually anyone was able to fly. This aeroplane was powered by a petrol engine. This petrol engine rotated the propellers fixed behind the main wings. The pilot of the aeroplane had to lie flat on his stomach. Today we might find all this very funny, but this was the first successful flight and the year was 1903. The Wright brothers called their plane the Flyer. And children, this aeroplane was in the air only for 12 seconds. But people all over the world were excited. They knew that it was not far away when they could fly. This was how the first aeroplane flown by the Wright brothers looked. And after that, many people across the world worked on the model of the aeroplane, and its shape kept changing till the aeroplane got today's modern shape. Here are some of the earlier aircrafts developed across the world. Look, how the shape kept changing to make the aeroplane more easy to fly.
Even I can make aeroplane with paper that can fly.
Yes, children really love to fly those airplanes made out of paper. Talking about papers, children, let me tell you that the paper which we use for so many things was also invented. And the invention of paper was something so important that it changed the way we work. Today, we cannot think our lives without paper.
Children, before paper was invented, people used to carve messages on stone and wood. In ancient Egypt, people wrote on thin strips of papyrus stems that were joined together. People started looking at different ways of writing, and children, the first paper was invented way back in the year AD 105 in China. Let us see how the paper was made. A paper maker began by boiling raw plant fiber like cotton until the fiber turned into mush. He then spread the mush on a screen in a wooden frame and then soaked it in water. When he lifted the frame out of the water to drain, only a thin film of mush was left. As the film dried, it became a sheet of paper. Children, once someone invents or discovers something, other people start developing and making it more and more better. The same thing happened with paper, and with the passage of time and intelligence of lots of people, the paper took the modern version that we use today. In today's world, we use so many things that are made of paper. So you see, children, today paper has become a part of our daily lives. Look around you and you will find papers all around you in different forms. So we can say that the invention of paper has created a revolution in our lives.
Children, after the invention of paper, people started finding various methods of using the paper to write, read, and do other things. Many used pen and ink to write, while others carved a message in a block of wood and then brushed the block of wood with ink. This was then pressed against the paper and the matter on the block got printed on the paper. So this was the first form of printing.
Children, there is a very interesting story as to how the idea of printing press was developed. It all began with a small mistake. Yes, even a mistake can sometimes make the mind think of new ideas and invent new things. It so happened that one day a German silversmith, Johannes Gutenberg, was carving out a message. He had almost reached the end of a line when he made a mistake in a word by spelling it wrongly. Just as when we make a spelling mistake while writing, we don't start writing the whole thing again. What we do is rub the wrong spelling and continue from there. Gutenberg also did the same thing. He cut out the wrong letter and replaced it with the right letter. And suddenly, he realized that he didn't have to do all the carving again to correct his one mistake. In 1438, Gutenberg had a brilliant idea. He thought of making letters that could be used many times and rearranged as many times as one wanted to spell any word.
After this wonderful idea, Gutenberg also invented a machine that could print a complete page at a time. Before this, people were printing by hand. They laid paper on inked letters and rubbed a heavy flat stone across the paper to press it down and make a print. Now see, children, how an idea can change things around. Gutenberg had seen a machine that was used for pressing grapes into a machine. He found this machine could evenly press down on paper. Gutenberg had an idea how to change it and use it for printing. He called this machine a printing press, and thus the first printing press was invented.
Kids, all our books, newspapers, and magazines that we read are printed in a printing press.
Another invention that created even bigger revolution around the world was the invention of the steam engine. In the year 1765, when most work was done by hand, one engineer, James Watt, improved a steam engine that someone had invented. Watt's engine were capable of doing work faster in factories than done by human beings. Soon smoke started coming out of factory chimneys as steam engines burnt coal to produce steam. This very steam was then used to power heavy machines that did heavy work in mines and produced goods like fabrics.
Children, Watt's improvement of steam engine made possible the development of steam locomotives or steam engines that pulled trains and steamships. This made transportation not only easier but also faster. People could now travel from one place to another much faster than before, and large quantities of goods too could be transported easily. As more and more factories started using the power of steam engine, it was clear that the world was witnessing a dramatic change, and the change came in the form of a revolution, the Industrial Revolution. The invention of steam engine had laid the foundation of this industrial revolution as machine power had become more powerful than manual labor. Children, this single revolution dramatically changed the world we live in, and you can see the results around you. Kids, have you ever seen your reflection in the water?
Yes, I have seen my reflection in the water.
Yes, we have also seen our reflection in the water.
Very good. In ancient times, when mankind first saw reflections in a pond or river, it was like magic for them. Soon they started using it as a mirror to watch themselves. People also used shiny stones as mirror, but neither stones nor water gave a clear reflection, because water is never steady and the stones were not smooth enough to give a clear reflection of the person looking into it.
Then people started learning the ways of polishing metal and making them into shiny surfaces. People in earlier civilization developed bronze by mixing tin and copper. They found that if they made it flat and polished it well, bronze could be used as a crude mirror. Soon people started using the shiny surface of bronze as mirror.
Then, in the year 1508, the glassmakers in Italy invented a mirror made of glass. They coated the back of a sheet of glass with tin and mercury. This made the glass shiny and it reflected the images perfectly. Then, in the year 1840, the tin and mercury mixture was replaced with silver. To this date, silver is used to coat mirrors. Whatever things that we use today in our daily lives were earlier just an idea that was developed and made available to the world, making our lives easier, simpler, and exciting.
One day, even I will invent something that will make everyone on earth happy.
Hey, that's really great, Bobby.
Gobby, what are you thinking, dear?
I want to ask you something.
Yes, what is it?
Who invented the ice cream?
Gobby always talks about eating.
It's all right, Shasha. We all love these things and we should know more about it. Don't worry, Gobby. We will tell about it also. But talking about ice creams has made me feel like having one. First, let us all go and have some ice creams.
Yay!
Wow!
Children, join Vayu and Maya along with these wonderful kids as they learn more and more interesting things every day. Be the first to know about all these wonderful and interesting things and make a big impression in your school. Till next time, take care and have fun learning with the series of Fun and Learn.
yummy! I love ice cream. We all should thank the person who invented the ice cream.
Ice cream was not an invention, it was a discovery. Children, we have already seen the difference between invention and discovery. When someone has an idea for something new and makes it work, it's called an invention. And when someone searches or finds out something new and makes it work, it's called a discovery.
So, if this someone had not found how to make ice cream, we would not have been enjoying this tasty ice cream.
So, how was ice cream discovered?
Children, the first type of ice cream was made around 4,000 years ago, and the first person to taste this ice cream was none other than the Emperor of China.
Wow! He must have been so lucky. How did they make the first ice cream?
The Emperor's cook prepared a dessert from fruit and juice. Then they packed the dessert in snow till it became chilled, and then they served it to the Emperor. So you see, children, the Chinese were the first to learn how to freeze juices. This then they sold as fruit-flavored ices from carts on street.
Were it just like candies?
You can say that. Then about 2000 years later, the Romans too had similar idea like the Chinese. The emperor ordered fruits to be packed in boxes with ice. The fruits froze in ice, and the result was what we all know today as sorbet. When the emperor ate the frozen fruits, he really loved it.
Then how did the ice cream spread all over the world?
In the 13th century, Marco Polo visited China, and he also enjoyed the fruit-flavored ices made by the Chinese. He liked it so much that when he returned to Italy, he took with him the recipes of fruit ices to Italy. Then in the year 1550, a Spanish doctor living in Rome discovered the secret of freezing milk and cream. Let us see what he discovered. When you add salt to the ice that is used to freeze, the salt lowers the temperature of ice even further. That means the ice becomes even cooler. This then increased the speed of freezing the milk and creams. When he tasted the frozen milk and the cream, it was delicious. He liked it so much that soon the doctor started selling real ice creams, and the people really enjoyed eating those ice creams. Then in the year 1670, an Italian opened a cafe in Paris and sold sorbets and flavored ices. Soon they also became popular. In this way, the whole world started enjoying the delicious ice creams.
But how was ice cream made?
Let me explain it to you. We first mix cream, sugar and the flavor we want into a small container. This small container containing the mixture is then put in the center of a large container. This large container is filled with ice and salt so that the small container is surrounded by the ice. Then the contents of the small container are stirred until the mixture freezes. And there you are, the ice cream is ready to eat. You too can make ice cream in your house using the freezer of your fridge.
I will try it tonight so that tomorrow morning I can have my tasty ice cream.
But children, you should not eat too much of ice cream or chocolates because it will spoil your teeth.
And remember, you all should brush your teeth daily and after every meal. Do you know, kids, long ago toothbrushes were not used. Instead, people rinsed their mouths out with water or used their fingers to clean their teeth.
Then when did people start using toothbrush?
It was much later that they found something that was the first toothbrush. People started chewing on the ends of sticks until they became bristly, just like our toothbrush. Then, using these bristles, they started cleaning their teeth. They also sharpened the sticks at the end and used it to clean in between their teeth. This came to be known as toothpick. In China, people at high post were the first to use brushes as teeth cleaners. So you see, initially, using the toothbrushes was limited to the rich and powerful people. As time went by, people in Europe began to use them too. Soon the toothbrush spread all around the world and everyone started using them to clean their teeth.
And when did people start using toothpaste?
Good question, Pete. Children, every morning and after our every meal, we all clean our teeth with our favorite toothpaste and toothbrush. But have you wondered, long before toothpaste was invented, how did people clean their teeth? Let me tell you. Long time ago, only the kings and the rich people used a powder that they mixed with water to form a paste. And with this paste, they used to clean their teeth. So you see, children, brushing teeth with powder was only for the rich people. It was considered a luxury. And the powder was made by mixing powdered deer antlers and powdered cattle hooves. Different herbs and honey were also mixed in the powder. Then, in the 18th century, a French dentist developed the first toothpaste. This toothpaste was something like the toothpaste we use today to brush our teeth. He mixed soap and lime to form a paste. Coral and shells were also made into powder. An extract from the bark of the soapwort tree was mixed with water. He dipped a sponge in warm water and used a mixture of above things to clean his teeth. And soon, everybody had toothpaste to brush their teeth.
We clean our teeth with toothpaste, but what do we use to clean our body?
Yes, I know. We use soap to clean our body.
Correct. Children, we human beings have been living on this planet Earth since very long. And even before man-made soaps, they used to clean their clothes. So how did they clean their clothes? They used a mixture of wood ashes and water. This loosened the dirt on the clothes. People also washed with plant juices that made a lot of lather. They boiled the bark or berries of the soapwort tree and used the liquid like today our mama does. Like today our mama uses detergent to wash our clothes. They wash their clothes by hand in rivers, by stamping and stomping on them with their feet, by rubbing them against stones or by beating them with a stick. Then many years later, someone decided to bind the powdery ashes with animal fat to make a solid cake. And that was the first bar soap.
Children, because the first soaps were made with animal fat, they smelled bad. Ugh. Then people started using olive oil instead of the animal fat to make soap. The soaps made with olive oil gave a pleasant smell, and people in large numbers started using the soap to clean their body.
But who were the first people to make soaps?
The first soap that we know about today was made by the ancient Phoenicians on the Mediterranean coast. Today, we know that country as Lebanon. They boiled a mixture of goat fat and wood ashes in water until a scum formed on the surface. When the scum became thick, they scooped it up and let it dry into a soap.
But soap was first used to wash clothes and not for personal cleanliness. And very few people use these soaps because of its bad smell. Regular production of soap began only in the 8th century when the bad smell of the soap was overcome. Washing with bars of soap became common only in the 19th century. Children, in today's world, we live by the time that is shown by the clock. Our years, months, and days are divided into time, and we get to know the time by looking at the clock. But have you ever wondered how people used to record time before the clock was invented?
Actually, children, the first people on earth did not require to know the exact time of the day, but there sure was a way to know the time. Let us see how. Children, the first people living on the earth divided their days by rising and setting of the sun and counted the years by the seasons. When the sun was directly over our head, it was considered to be noon. When the sun was close to the horizon in the east, it was early morning, that is the sunrise. And when the sun came to the horizon in the west, it was considered early evening, which is the sunset.
It was only much later that the people began to show the passing of time through clever inventions, and this was around 3,500 years ago. Now, let us see what those clever inventions were and how they were improved to form a modern clock that we use today. Children, long time ago, people started telling time by the position of the sun in the sky.
Children, look at this structure. This is called the obelisk. They were made of stone. In ancient Egypt, these monuments were used to tell time. Let us see how. Children, it is interesting to know that as the sun moves in the sky, our shadows also move and become longer and shorter depending on the position of the sun in the sky. These monuments followed the same pattern and served as sundials and kept track of time by their moving shadows as the sun moved in the sky. So by looking at the shadow of the monument, people could tell the time.
Wow! I didn't know that by looking at the shadows, we can tell the time.
Children, even today, by looking at your shadows you can tell whether it's morning, afternoon or going to be evening. But you cannot tell the accurate time of the day using these methods.
Another interesting thing that earlier people used to tell time was a candle. What they did was, they marked a candle with the hours of the day. Look, this is how the candles were marked for the hours. Now, each of the colored segments represented an hour. These segments were marked with numbers telling the hours of the day. The candles were burnt, and if someone had to tell the time, they looked at the candle and saw the number where the candle had reached as it burnt. The number showed what time of the day it was. So children, we can say that these candle clocks were the clocks that burnt time away.
Later on, similar model was made using oil. Look, this was how the model looked. Can you see the markings on the instrument? This instrument was filled with oil and then burnt. As the hours passed, the level of oil came down. When people had to see the time, they simply saw the level of the oil and read the marking of the instrument to know the exact time of the day.
Then came the first mechanical clocks. They were very big and heavy and were driven by hanging weights. These clocks hung mainly in churches and public buildings so that everybody could see the time. And children, these clocks were so heavy and occupied so much space that they could not be kept in houses.
Clocks became popular in houses in the 17th century when the development in these inventions made it possible for mankind to make smaller models of clocks. It was Louis Cartier who created the first wristwatch in the year 1907.
Today in our wristwatches and clocks, we have vibrating quartz crystals that helps us tell the accurate time of the day.
Children, as the clock tells us the time of the day, similarly, can you tell me what do we use to tell the date, day and month of a year?
Calendar!
Great.
It also shows us on which days do we have holiday.
Right. Children, before the calendar was developed, people counted the years by passing of the seasons. This again was not very accurate. Children, before we go into the details of the calendar, let us see what makes a year. When our Earth completes one full circle around the Sun, then we say that we have completed 1 year. This 1 year has all the seasons in it on which the previous calendars were based.
The first calendars were made by the Babylonians. They based their calendars on the phases of the moon. So, the calendars were called lunar calendars. The lunar calendars have 354 days in a year. The Egyptians also followed the lunar calendar, but they discovered something new that gave birth to a new calendar. Let us see what they discovered.
Children, when the Egyptians observed the position of the Sun as the Earth moved around it, what they noticed was the year was longer than the moon cycle. Yes, so the Egyptians based their calendars on the Sun and it was called the solar calendar.
The Roman general Julius Caesar copied the Egyptians but added days to make the year 365 days long. This calendar was known as Julian calendar, but this calendar was also not up to the mark and had months of uneven lengths and was a bit short. Then, in year 1582, came the Gregorian calendar. It corrected the problems faced by the Julian calendar. It established the average number of days in a month and also added a leap year every 4 years.
What is a leap year?
A year in which we have one extra day. We call it a leap year. And can anyone tell me in which month of the year is this day added to? Yes. Come on. You are all very intelligent and you know the answer, I'm sure.
February?
Very good, Molly. You're absolutely right. Children, if you look at the month of February in a calendar, you'll find that it has 28 days in it. But in some years, it has 29 days in it also. Children, let me tell you something very interesting. There is a way by which you can all find out which years were leap years and which coming years will be leap years.
Wow, how can we do that?
It's all very simple. All you have to do is divide the year by the number 400. If the remainder is 0, then the year is a leap year, or else it's not a leap year.
Wow, it is so easy.
Children, all across the world, people largely use the Gregorian calendar. But there are many places and many people who even today follow the lunar calendar.
Children, today we all have umbrellas in our house. These umbrellas are of different colors and sizes. We take out the umbrella in the rainy season and whenever there is rain we use it to protect ourselves from the rain. It's also used to protect against the scorching rays of the sun. So you see, rainy season or a sunny weather, the umbrella is a must. But do you know, children, that in ancient China about 3000 years ago, people didn't use umbrellas to protect themselves from the rain. The umbrella indicated the rank of a person. So only high-ranking people of China were allowed to carry umbrellas. The important people in China showed their importance and status by having the servants carry umbrellas whenever they went out.
Similarly, in ancient Greek, the umbrella was not used as a protection from rain. The ladies used it to protect themselves from the sun, which was very strong during the summer.
Then how did they save themselves from the rains?
They wore tightly woven capes or cloaks and hats that were made by weaving waxy leaves and grass together. These waxy leaves acted as waterproof.
Was it just like the raincoats we use today?
Oh yes, dear, you can say that. In 18th century Europe, when women started using umbrellas to protect themselves from the sun, men thought that it was really silly thing to use. And then, one rainy season, a man named Jonas Hanway from England started using umbrella to protect himself from the rain. He made it a habit to carry the umbrella with him whether it rained or not. People started making fun of him and laughed at him.
Why did they laugh at him?
At first, it was not considered good manners for a man to use an umbrella to stay dry in the rainy season. The soldiers were forbidden to use them at all.
But soon everybody realized that it was senseless getting wet in the rain and more sensible to keep yourself dry in the rain. So the British gentlemen also started carrying umbrellas and started calling these umbrellas as Hanways on the name of Jonas Hanway.
Still, very few people were using umbrellas. The mass production of umbrellas started after the year 1840 and after Henry Holland had devised steel ribs for umbrellas.
And then came the folding umbrellas in the year 1930. And this folding umbrella was invented in Germany.
Money plays a very important part in our lives. Today, whenever we want to buy something from the market, we have to give some money in exchange for the thing that we want to buy. The money the people of a particular country use is called the currency of that country, and every country on this earth has its own currency.
But it is not that we human beings always used money to buy things. In the prehistoric times, humans themselves produced what they needed. It was like, if I needed something, I will produce it myself. I will not go and buy it from somewhere else. But soon human beings began to grow crops and started living in villages. This led to the development of their social life as they started interacting with lots of people. It was then that they found that they needed to exchange different goods with one another to live. If I produced rice and needed apple, then I will go to a person who produces apple and give that person rice in exchange of apples. This was then developed as a system, and we call this system of giving goods in exchange of goods as bartering. But soon they found that this system was not perfect.
Let us see why it is not perfect. Suppose I produce rice and I want apples. I go to a person who produces apple and asks for it in exchange of my rice. And this is called the barter system. But that person may not need rice. So what do I do now? I will again have to search for another person who not only produces apples but also needs rice. And how should we decide how much rice should I give and how many apples I should get in return? This makes my life hard.
Soon human beings found a way out and a form of money was agreed upon. And this money replaced bartering. Thus, the fair exchange of various things became easier. Let us now look at some of the first money used by human beings. The country that we know as Iraq was long time ago inhabited by the ancient Sumerians. They used clay tokens as money. Look, this is how the clay tokens looked. The shape of the token told the type of item that can be bought by it, and the size told the quantity of the item.
Similarly, the Chinese first paid with cowrie shells. Then by 600 BC, they started casting metal tools and using them as money. Some of the metal tools they made were the bronze hoe and a knife. Look, this is how they appeared.
Soon we human beings realized that coins had to be strong as well as light in weight. This would be easy to carry. From all the materials available to them, they found the metal to be the best. Gold and silver coins became the most valuable coins available. Initially, the coins made had simple designs on them. Then, people started minting the coins, and soon the designs on the coin started becoming complex.
The coins came in different shapes and sizes. Some coins even had holes so that they could be carried on a string, like this ancient coin from Japan. So kids, I think by now we all know about so many things that were invented and discovered that changed our lives and our lifestyles. Now, do you want to know about anything else?
Yes, I want to know who discovered the sandwich.
Gobby, do you really want to know about the discovery of sandwich, or do you want to eat sandwich?
Definitely he wants to eat sandwich. When he wanted to eat ice cream, he asked for it.
I think after listening to all those interesting things, we all deserve a sandwich. So let's all go and have a sandwich, and then we will see who came up with the brilliant idea of a sandwich. Children, there's a very interesting story about how the sandwich was introduced to the world. In the year 1762, there lived an English lord. He was a big gambler and was so fond of playing cards that he didn't even leave the table for having his food. But we all feel hungry. He also felt hungry and had to have something to eat. Or else, he will feel very weak and not be able to play. But he didn't want to stop playing the game of card even for a few minutes. This was a great problem for him. And then, he got an idea that solved his problem. He ordered his servant to put slices of meat and cheese between two pieces of bread so that he could use his one hand to eat the bread and with the other hand he could play his favorite game of cards. So you see children, people come up with various interesting ideas to make their lives simple. This was one of them. At that time, he did not know that this way of eating will become a craze all over the world.
And children, it is also very interesting to know how this type of fast food came to be known as sandwich. Although many people before this English lord must have eaten this combination of meat and bread without giving it a name, but people liked the story associated with this English lord. This Englishman's name was John Montagu, and he was the 4th Earl of Sandwich. And so children, people started calling this combination as sandwich.
Children, what we put in between the two slices of bread are called the filling. And this filling varies across the world. So children, let us all enjoy our sandwich and remember the English lord John Montagu, because of whom the world got to enjoy the sandwiches.
And it really tastes good.
Molly, why are you so sad?
I will never be famous because they all have invented and discovered all the things. Now there is nothing for me to do.
Oh, sweetheart, you don't have to be sad. Let me tell you something. As long as we human beings are living on this earth, every day people will be discovering new and new things. They will be inventing exciting things that will make our lives more easy and comfortable. Even now as we talk, there are many people around the world working on discovering and inventing new things. or developing upon the things that have already been discovered or invented to make it more perfect. All you have to do is look around you and see what you can make that will help improve the living standard of all the humankind living on the planet Earth.
That means I can still be famous?
Of course, dear, and we are all here to help you succeed in whatever you do. Aren't we, children?
Yes!
Thank you, Vayu. Thank you, Maya.
But Molly, remember, studies are also very important. First, you should complete your homework and finish studying. Then you should think about other things, because when you apply your studies to your thinking, your studies will help you think creatively. And when you start thinking creatively, you will be able to fulfill your dream of being famous by inventing or discovering something new and exciting.
Yes, you are right. Now I will first complete my homework.
That's a good girl.
Vayu, I think now we should take leave of these children and let them finish their homework.
You are right. So children, study hard and remember, I and Maya are always there to help you. So whenever you need our help, all you have to do is call us.
Thank you, Vayu. Thank you, Maya. Bye-bye, Vayu. Bye-bye, Maya.
Bye-bye kids. Take care and see you very soon.
Hey, hello Molly.
Hello, Sandy.
Aren't you coming to Budo's birthday party?
Yes, I am coming.
Then why didn't you get ready for the party?
Get ready? But I am ready. Look, I